When you're in a couple and you're doing it from morning to evening, you don't want to tell the other person how terrified you are. So I would wake up in the middle of the night with heart panics.
Really?
And that was the first 6 months. It was horrible. I would never relive that. I'm more of an evening person. You're more of a morning person. So finding how we can work together and get the best out of one another has taken a bit of time.
Hi everybody and welcome to FEBE Founder Stories, and it is wicked to have the founders from Scrumbles here today. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, really good. Thanks for having us.
Listen, I've got to start by saying a massive congratulations for your growth, which is absolutely off the scale. We proudly had you in the Growth 100 this year. So, as I said, you must be enjoying yourselves at the moment, because it is hard to get a business going, and you're clearly doing a lot of things well, which we'll get to. But you guys met at university, right? And you are husband and wife.
We are.
So when did just give us some context. When did the business start? That's a good place to start.
We incorporated in 2015, and Jack and I had the pleasure of being study buddies at uni.
Same degree?
No, I did natural sciences with French, and you did Mech-Eng.
Did you? Okay, right.
But we studied together, and I went to a few of your lectures as well, just for fun.
You went to more mine than your own, I think.
I did, actually. We ended up working both in FMCG. So I worked at P&G, Jack worked at Unilever, briefly worked together at Unilever. So we knew how to kind of, our strengths and working together. And then once we went into the startup world, decided to do something ourselves, and haven't looked back.
We always wanted to do something. We weren't quite sure what it'd be, probably in food and drink, because that'd been our experience. We really enjoyed it. But big animal lovers, and we had our little experience with Boo. But when we finally made the decision, I quit my job in December 15. But then we realised we didn't have anywhere near enough money to actually make it happen. So we both ended up going back to work.
Did you?
And it wasn't till the summer of 2018 that we actually were ready to start trading. I think the first sale was Dabner's on Surrey Street in Croydon, which is the local pet shop, who took a couple of boxes of cat food off us.
It was it was your first approach to an independent, and
it was one of one, 100% track record.
100% strike rate. I was like, it's not going to be this good.
Yeah.
There was a period where we were driving, we spent the whole first few months driving across the country, knocking on doors for pet shops, rejection after rejection after rejection. So that
really, that's interesting then, because obviously you look at where you are now, and it's the whole cliche analogy of is it the big iceberg, and you don't see what goes below it. But you've obviously been through that horrendous time of the big hard knocks. Did it derail you in any way? Or did it both help having each other in your corner? What was that like?
Well, I could definitely speak for myself, but I think when you're in a couple and you're doing it from morning to evening, you don't want to tell the other person how terrified you are. So I would wake up in the middle of the night with heart panics.
Really?
And that was the first 6 months. It was horrible. I would never relive that. But you had to be strong for the other person. So you'd pretend, we've got this today. Yeah.
I think, you go through peaks and troughs. I think there's probably a big dose of helpful naivety in the beginning, where you got that first win, it was relatively easy, and you start with a fully charged battery, so you've got a bit of resilience there. But there was a few moments where it was touch and go, and I remember looking at how much revenue we generated for a month, and it was, for the whole company, it was a lot less than one of us could have just earned just staying at work. And when you look at that and think, well, we still got the mortgage to pay for, we still got food to buy. This is a bit scary.
Well, take us to then. I guess that's because that to me indicates that for you this was everything. This was your passion. This was your love. This just had to be done. What sparked that? What is it in you that therefore wanted to create this business that focused on, obviously, pets?
I guess there's probably two things. We both had a desire to create something, be our own bosses, and create something we could be really proud of. I was really lucky to have some fantastic jobs out of uni, but there was a long time where I was selling laundry powder and bleach, and I didn't really go home and feel good about what I'd done there. I'd sold a couple of trucks more bleach today, and that's not really, it didn't resonate with me particularly, although it was a very well-paid job and we were really well looked after. So, to build something we want to be proud of was that there was a kind of underlying drive there. And then the inspiration in particular for what became Scrumbles was our animals and our love for it was about Boo in particular at the start with her Dicky tummy. We'd gotten her as a kitten. Anisha and I had both worked in pet care in the past, so we knew about pet food, and we wanted to get it right for her, but she was just having an upset tum all the time. I would spare you the details, but if you've got a litter tray, you'll know what dealing with that's like. And we were going in and out to the vet, trying to get her well. And the thing that did it for her was a prescription. We now know it's called the poo prescription, which is pretty common. And it's essentially a probiotic in a tube that you dose onto her food. And literally overnight...
Chloe's had that when she's had...
Well, there you go. It's 10 a penny.
And when we started, you couldn't buy that incorporated into the food. So I think I worked for the amazing husband and wife team behind Bear Nibbles, the kids' snacks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So and they were great, and I loved how they interacted with one another and the culture that they'd built. So that's what we wanted to do as well.
Inspiration.
And it aligned with Boo.
And so that was the origin, really, having gone through that experience and realising friends, family, and people around us that loads of other people were going through this experience. That was so transformative for her diet that we wanted her to have it all the time. But to Nace's point, you couldn't get that on the market. And we looked at each other and thought, maybe this is our thing.
So that was the. I mean, I was commenting before. The name was brilliant. How soon into the journey did you come up with this fantastic name?
It was our second name, really, wasn't it? So originally we were called Smudge and Friends.
Yeah.
And that remained...
Which is a great name.
Yeah, named after our Smudge, our lovely Smudge. And we'd had our business before, which was called Boo Brand. So we had one named after our cat, and so the other named after our doggy. But when we came to create the packaging and the artwork and the website, we realised somebody else had the trademark for Smudge.
Really?
And so we wrote them a very friendly...
It's a naive thing of, can we have the name Smudge, please?
Well, we said,
and what did they say?
Well, they said, yes, you can, but it'll cost you £15,000, and they happen to be a pet food manufacturer.
Okay.
And you have to make all of your food with us, which was completely untenable. So we said, well, you can have it. And I think we opened a bottle of wine, pen and paper out, and we wanted something fun and foodie and just...
Scrumptious, yeah.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Just spitballing. We came
and so
to
you've got the IP all ring-fenced on that then, I take it?
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Forgotten.
I knew there was something on our job list that we hadn't done yet.
Yeah, no, done and dusted.
Yeah, bit of a stupid question really, but anyway, there you go. But so how have you found, because obviously I think people are very interested in the dynamic between any co-founders, but when it's a husband and wife team, there's obviously an added dynamic. Listen, how is it being together and running a business?
I think we've got to the right balance now, haven't we? And I know
It's been a journey.
It has been a journey. That's my phrase. That I'm quite naughty for waking up, and the first thing I want to do is talk about everything that's on my mind to do with the business. And I'll wake up in the middle of the night, and Jack will feel the bed rocking because I'm like sending myself emails with all the things that we need to talk about, and I'll do it all the way until the end of the day. And I'm trying to now stop talking about work from about 9 p.m. and
well, now she waits for me to fall asleep on the couch, and then she cracks open the laptop again and just taps away at a few more emails, which is probably not the best habit.
So that's interesting. That's how you basically get your ideas together, is it? You start...
Yeah,
You're a night owl, aren't you?
I am.
Are you?
I'm more of an evening person. You're more of a morning person. So finding how we can work together and get the best out of one another has taken a bit of time.
And what are your roles, therefore, as a result of that?
So I generally look after sales and supply chain, the more those commercial aspects.
Yeah.
I look after innovation, marketing and finance.
Let's get to Dragon's Den. Always an interesting subject and topic to talk about. I was watching your video last night, and you had a successful time on there, and you did a great job. You guys absolutely came across fantastic, which is obviously why it's obviously such a great launch pad. Because I think watching it, you could see how lovely you were, but also you knew your business, you knew your shit. That was clear. But you obviously got the offer. And I remember watching it last night because I didn't know what the outcome was.
Yeah.
And you offered, is there any chance we can reduce the equity if we hit a milestone? To which the answer from Deborah was no. That took some courage and some guts. Now you said, right, I'm gonna, you deal with it, right? Yeah. And I noticed that you didn't, unless they missed it out the editing, you didn't say, Anisha, are you happy with what? I mean, just take us through that bit. Were you thinking, what is he doing?
Or is this been to counselling for this?
Listen, it took some courage to say no to that.
Yeah, we went with a plan, didn't we? We went with a plan. We wanted to, give the brand as much opportunity to be presented to lots of people, and the investment was secondary, really. And I think ideally what we wanted was to have an offer because clearly that's a high point, and to be able to celebrate that and, a hug and a kiss at the end with Deborah. Massive respect to Deborah because she's, a tremendous dragon.
She's actually really lovely as well.
And she is really lovely.
She strikes me.
She's
a
really
couple of them
nice.
were really, really nice.
Yeah, Tuka's lovely. I feel like the editing is unkind to him. He's actually really friendly.
Yeah.
But, sorry.
Yeah. So we can do the maths then in terms of who you didn't think was...
I was just...
There's one. There is one.
Let's not go there. Yeah. Let's not go there. So carry on. So you knew you had a plan.
We had a plan. We wanted to get an offer, of course, but the investment wasn't the primary reason to go. And if I think about the amount of investment we were offered, I mean, it was essentially about enough to do one packaging run. So,
wow.
It wasn't really enough to justify giving up a fifth of our company. But we'd gone back to the wall. We'd decided how we'd counter her offer, but we didn't actually think any further.
We didn't anticipate that she'd say no.
Yeah,
that's my point.
Yeah. I guess it's the nerves of being under the bright lights. I like to think we're normally fairly prepared. And we were in there for long. We were in there for 3 hours with the dragons. It was a hell of a long time. But that was just a complete gut response from me because I felt like we'd put a really fair response back, and I just thought, well, if you're not going to, come along with me a little bit and show a bit of movement.
You enjoyed saying no, though, didn't you?
It's just a gut response, and that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
It would have been, based on where the business has gone, it would have been quite a good investment, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
So you were fine with that then? You were cool, that's good. You were just like, okay, I'll let him, okay, that's... So that was obviously a big point for you, because as everyone says when they go on the show, the exposure that you get.
Exposure was incredible. I remember our Amazon business before, it's very much a search platform, and no matter how much advertising we did, we couldn't get people to find the product. But as soon as we went on to Dragon's Den, the numbers just dramatically jumped up.
But that was exciting, wasn't it?
It was really good.
Yeah,
well, we couldn't keep up with it, could we? Because they'd actually surprised us. They'd said, there's no guarantee you'll be on the telly, and if you are, it's probably going to be
around
close
December,
to Christmas.
Yeah.
And how many months after you'd done this is that then?
So we did it in July.
June 1st,
sorry.
That is a wait.
And then we were on TV for the first episode, which I think was August.
Okay.
So it was
That's quick then.
faster than we expected. And I think we had less than 48 hours notice to get the website ready. And it wasn't enough, so the website did crash. And we weren't able to produce enough stock to get it into all of our depots. But
so we were on the first episode of that new series. So it was kind of double bubble because all the extra PR around the new series and got lots of press. And because we had that moment with Deborah and there was a little bit of controversy around it, it got us a load of press columns.
Well, you don't know the edit. So a journalist contacted us the day before it went live on TV and said, "Are you and your wife okay?" to Jack. And I said, "What does that mean? What are they going to show?" And we were in the papers. Couple nearly divorce after husband turns the offer down.
Yeah.
Well, even like 2 years later, there was press coming out, like the Liverpool Echo, covering the rerun about how we were still together.
Yeah.
Despite the...
I think I had at least 2 marriage proposals as well. So I did okay out there.
Great.
Mine was still in the post.
So anyway, so that was one of the kind of the big parts of creating the big surge. And then you were saying COVID as well was obviously something because people weren't going out to buy.
Yeah, we were quite fortunate. There was the pandemic meant that there was a boom in the pet population, more people at home having the time to like bring furry things into their lives. but you couldn't go out to the supermarkets, and a lot of people didn't want to go to the supermarkets, so everybody went online. We'd invested a lot into improving our SEO and making sure that we were on the first page of Google for most of the relevant searches. And
had you done that before things really? So
yeah, we spent a lot of evenings writing lots of blogs.
Timing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've never written so much in my life.
What is the percentage of the direct-to-consumer versus the B2B now?
So we measure our business online, offline. It's broadly 50-50. It fluctuates. So it's Christmas is right around the corner. We're selling our advent calendars now. And during this time of year, we get a lot more on our website as a result.
Oh, I love this, the advent calendar. That's a wonderful idea. How do you go about managing to secure, considerable amounts of money? What are some of the gems that you can give to people watching this?
Don't take no for an answer is probably what I would say. We got turned down by BGF, and I remember it was the lead investor who took us through to the deal, but she said no, and I said, well, I think you're wrong, and this is why you're wrong, and this is what we're going to achieve in the next 6 months. And she smiled the whole time. I gave her like my spiel, and a few months later we did what I said we would do, so I got back in touch, and she said, okay, let's have a conversation.
I love that, so don't take no for an answer then.
Yeah.
Was it from 2022, would you say, that it's all of a sudden now we're starting to hit the seriously big inflection? Or is it probably before then?
I'm trying to think, when did the pandemic hit?
Was
that 2019?
2020.
2020,
So we
yeah.
landed our first big break on the day that lockdown was announced. So we got an email from Sainsbury's to say, yes, they would take our cat food into a small number of stores there. And that was transformational for us.
That was a moment, was it?
It was. But we couldn't tell people to run out to stores because the government was saying, don't go out. And then lockdown happened. We had the boom from the pandemic. And then every time Dragon's Den replays, actually, we do get a mini boom still.
Yeah. That was, I think, percentage terms, the growth has been... very early on it was triple digit, and it's kind of maintained high double digit since then. But of course that compound effect, they're much bigger numbers now. It's harder to grow quite so much when the numbers are bigger. But we're really proud of what we've done.
Well, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you've experienced from the growth? What are some of the things that, because obviously growth is something everyone chases, and it's great to achieve growth, and it's so hard to achieve growth, but what are some of the challenges that you've kind of had to encounter from such rapid growth? I mean, treble digit at times, that's insane.
I think something that we've been, bad at is not bringing in people ahead of the growth. Okay. So we often play catch up, and we're not well resourced. We're a very lean team, and finding good people's a challenge. I still remember finding the first person to work with us who is still with us today.
Really? Should we give a big shout out?
She is amazing. Tash and Renee, because we've got 3A.
Wasn't sure which way you were going to get, actually.
3A and 3B. Renee joined and then left briefly, so then Tash joined, but then Renee came back, so we call them 3A and 3B.
They're both fab.
They're amazing, and working with a couple and in a startup, that's quite an intense environment. So to be brave enough to take that on, it's hats off to them. I'm not sure I would have done it. So
yeah, people's been the hardest thing, and continues to be, because people are complex, and the needs of the business are when you're growing so quickly, the things that you needed yesterday are completely different to what you need tomorrow. Yeah. And so you're trying to throw a dart at a moving board sort of thing. So I think for us, the best people that we've had they've just got that willingness, haven't they, to come along on the journey, and they're keen and they just buy into it, and we're working out things as we go along, and that's okay. And if they're up for it, then there's a lot of fun to be had. There's definitely challenges along the way, but we can do it with a smile.
What are some of the biggest things that have happened to you that have actually been great learnings for you?
Well, we were thinking about one on the way over, weren't we? And there's a couple of years back, so we'd already established a small business in Sainsbury's, which was going really well, but we knew we had to get some new listings in new places, and look, we make premium cat and dog food, so it's not appropriate for us to be in some locations because of the price point and whatnot. But we had an opportunity in Wilko, which is sort of one of those in-between places, because they're big focus on value, but they also have a big extended assortment, so they do like some things that are what we'd call added value, which is where I'd kind of put us. And so we decided to operate with them, and it kind of happened at the same time as we won a listing in another large retailer, which we won't name, but we'd had the news that we were going into both. Wilko was happening maybe a month
happened a couple
earlier
of weeks earlier,
Yeah,
so
I can't remember the timings.
shouted out about it on social, didn't we?
Yeah, so we did. So we happened to be out with the team. We were in Nando's.
Take our team to all the best places.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It is the best place.
We were having a meal with the guys.
I was doing that classic thing of checking my emails every second
Well,
because something important might come.
Which is a bad habit. And we got an email from this other retailer to say, we've seen that you've launched into Wilko, and on that basis we've decided that we don't want to take your products. And of course we'd told our investors, we'd built the stock, we'd planned everything for it, and
Resource the team for once, yeah.
Yeah, resource the team. And well, I didn't know what the email was. I just saw your face drop. And
was it an O?
I was like,
maybe was it?
Yeah.
What has
And
happened?
the whole team looked at me, they were like, what? And I was like, nothing. And they were like, no, what?
we said,
we have to go home right now.
But the thing was quite late, wasn't it? So I think it might have been 10 p.m. already. So we got home, it was late.
We lay in bed and I just, we both...
Sounds like a horrendous moment
it was traumatic. We both lay in bed and we knew, I knew Jack was awake and he knew I was awake, but we just laid there, and then at 4 a.m. I said, should we go into the office and plan our approach of attack? So
really?
we got...
And look, and in the end, the launch ended up going ahead, but...
Oh, so you did,
we turned it around.
Did you? Again, because no is you don't accept
for the
no
tenacity.
Yeah.
Or I guess maybe they were.
It's like
maybe
even if they say no, I'll go and put the product on the shelves myself.
Yeah, absolutely. We're sending the trucks in, so you might as well pay for it. But I think that's probably one of the things that has stayed with me is you have some really scary moments and a bit of trauma really from that, and that stayed with me since then. A bit of paranoia about
really,
and Wilko is obviously no longer with us. They were always a bit of a kind of in-between retailer and can be seen as a discounter by some and not by others. So, just managing that retail mix is really important.
What major retailers are you in then?
So we're in all of the supermarkets now, so Asda, Morrison's, Tesco's,
all of them.
Waitrose and Sainsbury's. Pets at Home was the biggie for us, so we launched our cat food last year and then we've just launched our dog food into all of the stores.
Pets at Home is where we discovered, Scrumbles.
I think, is it like 50% of people that have a cat or dog will go into Pets at Home at the beginning of their journey, so it's so important to be there.
And we're really lucky. We work with some really nice people at all those retailers. There's some great buyers, and the thing that we do for them is we talk to a very specific customer. Our brand is quite different to a lot of the brands they have on shelf. We tend to talk to a slightly younger customer, but also we have all the digestive health benefits that other brands don't offer. And it's such a strong emerging space that we are helping them acquire customers.
Yeah.
So they want us to be there.
Have you got any lovely nuggets for us in terms of how to really talk the language of buyers?
I mean, you probably tell it better than me. I think it's category, right?
Yeah, it's always not just, so you can't just say, oh, we're going to sell well. It's how you're going to drive that true category value. What's the ad for them? So for us, it was driving incrementality through bringing in a younger shopper. We put like all of the products on a pricing ladder and showed that where we sat, we could drive trade up. So we would bring people up from the kind of more lower priced items, and also during the cost of living crisis, we've supported them in that a lot of people haven't had as much money on the more expensive bits, but rather than trading all the way down to the early part of the pricing ladder, we've insulated that spend for them. So it's all about them and not about your brand, effectively.
Are you allowed to, for the sake of the camera, say what you're projecting in terms of turnover?
Yeah, so our current run rate is £16.5 million, and
wow.
we've just incorporated our Dutch entity. So
you're going global.
Hopefully, yeah. There's there's
Suspense.
lots for us to do in the UK still. We've barely scratched the surface, but there's
But
also
60 million, you've only about to scratch the surface. Wow.
Well, it's like a £5 billion category.
Is it?
So there's a huge amount of space to go after.
You were talking about a moment earlier, much earlier in the interview, when you lay at the beginning in bed with anxiety about where this is going to go. If I'd have told you then you're going to be in quite a short period of time, 60 million, would you have believed me?
I definitely wouldn't have believed you.
You wouldn't, no.
I looked at our earlier, our first ever investment deck, and we were planning to get to £5 million, and that was the 10-year ambition. So we've surpassed that now. And early on, Jack and I used to set like run rates that we were going to hit every month. So it's like the first milestone is £1,000 a month, then it's £5,000 a month, and the next one was £50,000. But you kind of jump past it, and suddenly it's £100,000 and then £250,000. So no, it's been great.
It kind of happen, you plan it, but it sort of goes in a blink of an eye as well. It's one of those things where I feel like we've been doing Scrumbles forever. But also, I feel like it just started
you really
yesterday.
Have you? Let's be honest.
It's sort of both and neither.
So, if you look at like the months and the years ahead, where do you now see you could take this business? You've mentioned the sheer size of the market that you're going after, and you're running this on a lean team, aren't you?
We are, yes.
What are some of the things that you see now in terms of the next stage of the scaling up this amazing business?
I think that I'm really proud of what we've achieved from a kind of retail basis. We work with all of the big customers that we'd want to. I think there's lots for us to do about maturing into that space. We're still a new brand. In some of those businesses, we've only been there a year or two.
Yeah. We measure our unprompted and our prompted awareness every quarter. In the last quarter, we got an unprompted awareness read, which is the first time. So it's asking the difference between unprompted and prompted is if I say name a pet brand, people wouldn't name Scrumbles typically, they'll name other larger brands. So we've always been 0%. And then you share a list of brands where Scrumbles will be for prompted, and you'll say, do you know these brands? Okay. So we got a read on the unprompted, and we're still quite small. So
you're against titans there. You're against
of course,
century-old brands like Baker's and Felix and things like that. So absolute Goliath. So for people to just roll your name off the tip of their tongue is actually pretty cool.
That's really nice. So I saw the first scrumbler in the park the other day take a bag of our treats out and feed her dog. That was a nice moment.
Yeah, they're the cool moments where you get somebody, a friend in the vet the other day saying that his vet, unprompted, was just waxing lyrical about how good Scrumbles is. And when it comes back to you like that,
doesn't it make you feel amazing when you hear this?
I still remember the first Scrumbler I met. We were at a charity event.
Sorry, you call them Scrumblers?
Scrumblers, yeah.
Wicked name. Yeah, I like it.
But we work quite closely with All Dogs Matter, which is a lovely charity.
Yes,
and we were at an event with them, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, I feed Scrumbles," and I jumped over the table to give them a hug because that was my first Scrumbler.
Really? So that was a moment.
Yeah.
Are you still loving? Are you enjoying this? Are you finding the journey just as exciting? I mean, is it getting better? Is it how is it evolving as you're starting to become?
It's exhausting, don't get me wrong, but I love it. I really enjoy it. There's different challenges. So, in the early days, it was about being able to get retailers to say yes to putting you on the shelves.
Having enough money to pay.
Having enough money to pay suppliers. I mean, we were very cheeky with our suppliers, honestly cheeky, but avoiding the red was a big focus. Yeah. Now thanks to BGF, we've got a healthy bank balance, but there's more growth to go after, and it's about building that underlying rate of sale and innovating and exciting our customers.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of things to enjoy about that early stage, but you learn a hell of a lot more now, and you get involved with stuff. So, like creating a European legal entity. Well, I didn't know. I have a clue how to do that.
Or creating our first TV ad. That was really fun, seeing how cats and dogs actually interact on set and how you put it together. That was really
saw
fun.
that as well when I was checking you out. Yeah, that's really cool. First TV ad, that's
the
massive.
set was cool, wasn't it? The mini shed, and
that was.
They made all these little Easter eggs. So if you kind of see the ad on a freeze frame, you'll see like all these little kind of doggy references and all these little kind of in jokes. So they're pretty cool.
You both look incredibly young still. You are, and we asked your age. You are very young.
Factor 50.
Do you,
Yeah.
do you? And listen, I'm not preempting your exit here, but at some stage that will come, right? Do you think you would become serial entrepreneurs and you'd just keep on going and going again? Or do you feel this is our radio and this is, this would be it? How would you feel about the future? Or do you never even think about it?
We talk about a million different scenarios
Really?
all the time, don't we?
I can't imagine ever being retired.
Really?
Is what I always say.
Yeah.
I think I'd be very bored, but I'm learning every day at Scrumbles, and there's so many, like, international's a whole new area that I've never worked in. So for me, it's just going onwards and upwards, learning new things and continuing to build what we can.
Yeah, look, we took investment from shareholders, and at some point they will expect the return. So through some mechanism that will happen, but I don't know what it means for us. So Scrumbles is sort of part of our lives, part of our little.
We were joking about
identity.
changing our surname to Scrumbles, but
I mean, yeah,
Do it.
Because
I
either
go
that
to
or
judo and
getting
they
a
call me
tattoo.
Mr. Scrumbles now, so that's great. This will be part of our lives in one form or another. But I think it's just my personality, do always have these like little ideas that that would be quite cool to do. And,
I bet that's the case. There's always ideas that are being spoken about.
Yeah.
You guys can't help it. It's in you, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's why you do what you do.
bit of fun.
Yeah.
Listen, it's been so cool to get you in. As I said, when we reached out to you and you engaged with us ahead of the Growth 100, it was great, especially because you have a personal aspect with us with our Chloe. It's lovely to meet you and see that you are lovely people, and to see where the business is going. It seems to me like there is a lot more to come. That's very, very evident, and you're enjoying it. You're enjoying it, and that's so great to see. So listen, we wish you all the success, and just thanks for being a part of our gang. It's just wicked to have you in.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.